All right, so welcome back to Bandit Network TV. I'm sorry for the shaky zooming in and out, but I do want to hop on here real quick and talk about the latest with the Sarah Boone trial. Today is day three, if I'm not mistaken, of the trial. Last week, Sarah's trial began with jury selection, and this week they're hopping into the state's arguments. In this video, what I wanted to go over was where the medical examiner is going to be talking about George Torres's autopsy photos. This is going to entail what he endured before his death. So I'm sorry about the advertisement. Let's hop into this. And once again, thank you for tuning back in to Bandit Network TV. This is coming from Fox 35 Orlando. I'm going to be pausing periodically so I can get my commentary, but you can go watch this on their network if you want the full uninterrupted version. Again, this is a suitcase murder trial, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone.
So this is an identification photo that's basically just showing from about the level of the collarbones up.
They're showing his autopsy pictures.
Yes, so there's some ecchymosis around the left eye. This picture it's a little bit hard to see, but I think there's another one coming up. There's also an area of ecchymosis up here on the left side of the forehead, with also some swelling associated with that. The lips have some contusions and small lacerations. And then on the left shoulder here, you can see a little bit of some ecchymosis here, or again, ecchymosis are kind of like big bruises.
Turning to photo 2 from State's composite. What are we looking at for this photograph?
So this is his right arm near the elbow. And right here you can see this kind of darker area. So this looks similar to an abrasion, but it's actually it's what's called drying artifact. And again, this is one of the reasons that I think that he was in that suitcase for a little bit longer.
Okay, so there's his arm, y'all. They're showing his arm. And you know, the reason why I'm guessing what really strikes me about these photographs and how they're explaining it, it's not really talked about enough that the way it's so far from the information at trial, if you haven't been following this suitcase murder trial, um the way that the neighbors gave their testimony and what they heard, what they claimed to have heard, she pushed him down the damn stairs while he was inside the suitcase. So now they're showing pictures of his arm. I don't know if you can see it too well because of the quality, but it shows contusions and bruising on his arm. That's a picture of his arm. So how would he end up with bruising by just being locked inside of a suitcase? If you want to believe that, oh, she just locked him inside of a suitcase or zipped him inside of a suitcase, how would you explain the bruising? Because whenever you lock somebody inside or whenever you zip somebody inside of a suitcase, that alone doesn't bruise them up. So what happened? Did she hit him over the head with a bat? Did she push him down the stairs? I'm just trying to make sense of what's happened here.
Where that suitcase was resting on his elbow in that area. And then after death, that tissue dries out, and that's the discoloration that you're seeing there.
Or maybe that was his leg. That was some type of I don't know what that was. It was a limb. Um
State's 3 from the composite.
So here you can see a little bit better. I don't know if you can get a feeling for this, but this area is what we call edema or swelling. So this whole area is
they're not going to show it.
it's a little bit discolored, so ecchymosis, and then again, really at the corner
But they're going over the autopsy photos.
For discoloration. And so that's
Y'all, please be sure to hit that like button if you have tuned in. It doesn't take but a millisecond to do, please. I hope everyone's having a good start to their week, a good Monday.
Stage 4 from the composite.
So this is the left shoulder and arm. So again, you can see this kind of red to purple area. So this is all ecchymoses, and then a couple of linear abrasions or scratches.
It's so funny how as soon as you ask some people to like the video, they just tune out.
Stage 5 from the composite.
This is the same area, just a little bit closer up, so you can see this whole area of ecchymoses. It's a little bit variegated, differential in color, but again, that's all blunt force trauma.
And what part of the body is it looking at?
This is the left shoulder.
The left shoulder. Okay, they're showing pictures of the left shoulder.
Stage 6 from the composite.
That's the same area, but in this picture we have a scale or the ruler.
And why do we use scale rulers?
That's just to give an idea of how big the area is or how large the injury is.
Okay, so what was that? Let's go back and view that again. I don't know what that was.
Stage 6 from the composite.
That's the same area, but in this picture we have a scale or the ruler.
And why do we use scale rulers?
So is that his shoulder?
An idea of how big the area is or how large the injury is.
Huh.
Stage 7 from the composite.
So this is the left forearm and hand, and you can see the area right here that's a little bit red to purple, and then also right here on the left hand, right here and here. Those are all areas of ecchymoses, again, blunt force trauma.
So it sounds like that he had blunt force trauma all the way from his hands to his shoulders. From his hands to his shoulders. Now, how would he? It's you know how he got those bruising. You know how he got those bruising. He didn't just get it by just sitting inside of a suitcase. He was either pushed down the stairs inside the suitcase, or she hit him over the fucking head, and she hit him over the body, whatever area of his body, she hit him with a bat. And they've showed the bat at trial. They showed the bat at trial. This. Thank you for liking the video. Or pressing the like button. That's what I meant to say.
Left arm. Just from a little bit of a different angle, so you can see, and a little bit of the elbow too here, but you can see all these areas of ecchymoses.
Stage 9 from the composite.
I know I need to dust over there on my TV stand. On the TV stand, it's really dusty.
Areas of ecchymoses.
Ecchymoses, I guess that's what they call it. Ecchymoses. That's the medical terminology.
From the composite.
And again, the left hand just closer up.
Stage 11 from the composite.
So now we're looking at the back, and you can see that there are these linear abrasions in the mid-back.
Are those scratch marks or?
They could be scratch marks. They could also be blunt impact, more of just a straight-on blunt impact, especially being in that suitcase if there are objects in there.
What is the discoloration that we see around his shoulders and then some other spots on his back?
Sure, so you're talking about this area?
Yes.
So that's called livor mortis or lividity, and that's one of the changes that we see again after death. And basically what that is it's postmortem after death, settling of blood in the blood vessels. And so it's dependent on gravity and it's dependent on the person's position. So what I mean by that is we're seeing it on his back because after the time of death, at some point in time, he was more positioned on his back. And the areas that are lighter, that's because for a couple of reasons. It could be the position of the body, meaning that it's not in a gravity dependent position, or there could be something pressing on it. So either one of those.
Okay, so the way that the medical examiner is describing it is some of these contusions and bruising, well, I don't want to say endured, but they happened after he died, after he was already dead. He these bruised areas started to form after he died. So post mortem, that means after you die. So that explains how he got some of these bruises where he did. Now, as far not all of them though, because some of them are pre-mortem,
So those are those linear abrasions just shown a little bit closer up.
and that's what makes me wonder if she actually took a bat and hit him while he was inside the suitcase, or pushed him down the stairs while he's inside the suitcase.
And the same, but with a scale.
Phase 14 from the composite.
So now you're seeing the left side of his back and also the back of his left arm. And you can see these areas here of ecchymoses, and these are a lot darker than some of the others that we've seen. One of the things that I did is I looked underneath the skin in these areas because they're so much darker and so much more dense. So I wanted to see if there was injury of the deeper tissues. So these areas are associated with hemorrhage or bleeding into the skeletal muscle, so the deeper tissues. And so that's just indicating more force applied to that area.
And when you did your internal exam, did you examine this area and did that inform your finding?
Yes.
Stage 15 from the composite?
And that's showing those areas a little bit closer up. So you can see that they're much more dense. There's at least 3 distinct areas here. There could be more than 3 impacts, but there's at least 3 separate ones that can be seen.
Stage 16 from the composite?
This is just showing the upper back and the back of the neck. We've got a linear abrasion right here on the back of the neck, and these were the ones shown in the earlier pictures.
And stage 17 from the composite?
And this is just showing the same area of the back and the back of the arm, but just at a different angle.
So, we've discussed and seen evidence of many different injuries. In total, how many blunt impact injuries did you identify?
I can't give you an exact number. Again, you can have multiple impacts in a very close area, so it can be hard to discern each one. They can overlay each other, or they can be so close to each other. But at least 5 to 6, most likely more than that.
5 to 6 in total, if not more.
Going through your body chart as well, and I guess we also saw some of it photographically. You also mentioned impact to the left side of the head,
Yes.
and I believe that was subgilial.
Subhelium, so kind of similar to what I was describing on the back. I looked at the underside of the scalp. So in those areas on the left side of his forehead where there was the edema, when we reflect or we fold the scalp over, there was hemorrhage or bleeding that went through the entire scalp and was deposited on the skull. There was no associated skull fracture, and there was no bleeding inside of the skull, but it was all in the scalp and deposited on the outer surface of the skull.
So under the skin, but not under the skull.
Correct.
Under the skin, but not under the skull.
Thank you.
So apparently he was, okay, that's it. Apparently he was hit hard enough where it caused bleeding underneath his skin, but not necessarily underneath the skull. So what made him get those injuries not hard enough for him to endure under his skull, but just enough for him to get bleeding under his skin? It's very interesting. I'm going to be back with more information. We're just doing a freestyle live. Comment below. You tell me what you think about this information that the medical examiner provided with the suitcase murder trial. And I will be back and talk to you sooner than later.